I found my husband's old phone. What was inside changed everything. They say curiosity kills the cat. I knew this all too well, but something pushed me that day. Maybe it was intuition, or maybe it was just that spring cleaning mood when you want to tidy up not only your home, but your life as well. My name is Allison. I'm 32. 6 of those years I've been married to Eric. We have a small but cozy apartment in a residential area of Boston. Eric works for a tech company, and I'm an editor for an online magazine. We don't have kids yet, although we've been trying for the past 2 years. Doctors say everything's fine. We just need time. So we wait. That day started like any other. It was the weekend. Eric had gone to help his friend Mike with some home renovation project. I decided to do some spring cleaning. Summer was just a month away, and I needed to sort through our winter clothes. And also bring some order to our storage closet, which had long ago become a repository for everything we didn't need but couldn't throw away. You know those boxes that travel from apartment to apartment for years? The ones filled with things you can't bear to throw away, but probably will never use again. We had several of those, with cords, chargers for devices we no longer owned, some spare parts, and just plain junk. Eric is a tech guy. He likes to keep all that stuff, just in case. In one of these boxes, I found his old phone, a beat-up Samsung with a cracked screen. I remembered this phone. He had it at the beginning of our relationship. Then Eric switched to an iPhone, and this old smartphone went into a box with other tech. And now I was holding it in my hands, wiping dust from the screen. I don't know what made me charge it. Maybe simple curiosity. Maybe a desire to look at our old photos, those carefree ones from the very beginning of our relationship. I found a suitable charger among dozens of others, plugged it into the outlet, and connected the phone. Surprisingly, it turned on. While the phone was loading, I continued sorting through the closet. I found a box with our wedding photos, our small wedding. Only 30 people, just the closest family and friends. We didn't want a big celebration. Eric's mom, of course, was disappointed. Barbara thought her only son deserved a grand celebration, but we insisted on doing it our way. That was 6 years ago. I was going through the photos when I heard the sound of the phone turning on. The screen lit up, asking for a password. What was the password again? I tried Eric's birthday. It didn't work. Our wedding date, wrong again. Strange, he usually used these dates. And then I remembered, when we first started dating, his password was 1379, just diagonal numbers on the keypad. I typed it in. The phone unlocked. The first thing I saw was the wallpaper, a photo of us from some trip. I smiled. Then I opened the gallery. Most of the photos had been deleted. Only a few dozen remained. Mostly screenshots, photos of documents, work stuff. Nothing interesting. I was about to put the phone back in the box when I noticed the WhatsApp icon. I decided to check it out. Maybe our first conversations were still saved. It would be fun to reread them. The app loaded slowly. Old version, old phone. There were only 3 chats in the dialogue list. One with me, one with his mom, and one with a contact simply labeled M. No avatar, no last name, just M. I opened our chat. Nothing special, discussing dinner plans, some everyday stuff. All messages dated from over 6 years ago. The chat with his mom was pretty much the same. short messages about when he'd come over, what to pick up from the store. And then I opened the chat with M, and my world stopped. The first message from this M was dated 3 months after our wedding. "Hey, miss you. When can we meet?" Eric replied briefly. "We'll try to get away on Friday. I'll text you." I scrolled through the conversation, and nausea welled up in my throat. The messages became increasingly explicit. "Last night was amazing. Love when you stay overnight," she wrote. "Me too. Wish I could more often," my husband replied. There were photos among the messages. I was afraid to open them, but I couldn't help myself. Here's Eric in some unfamiliar apartment. Here's a selfie with a woman, dark-haired, wearing bright lipstick. Her face is unfamiliar to me. Here they are at some restaurant, drinking wine. And here, more intimate pictures that I don't even want to describe. I sat on the closet floor, surrounded by scattered items, unable to move. 6 years of marriage. 6 years that I thought were happy. And right from the start, just after we got married, Eric was seeing someone else. Dates don't lie. First messages, 3 months after the wedding. Last ones, about 4 years ago. Apparently, their affair lasted about 2 years. 2 years out of the 6 years of our marriage. I found other messages in the conversation too. "You said you'd leave her," this Marina wrote. That was her name, judging by other messages. "I'm tired of being in the shadows, tired of sharing you with your wife," she complained. What did Eric reply? "It's complicated. I need time. I can't just drop everything right now. Let's not talk about this." And so it went, month after month. She demanded clarity. He avoided answering. The phone turned off. The battery died. But I'd seen enough. My hands were shaking as I plugged in the charger again. I needed to see how this story ended. Why the conversation stopped. What happened between them. While the phone was charging, I tried to calm down. Maybe it's some kind of mistake. Maybe it's not what it seems. I know Eric. He's not capable of such betrayal. Or is he? We've lived together for 6 years. During this time, we've had arguments, reconciliations, crises, and periods of incredible happiness. Like any couple. But I never, not for a minute, doubted his faithfulness. I didn't even allow such a thought. Until this moment. The phone turned on again. I went back to the chat with the mysterious M. The last messages were sent 4 years ago, around August. "I can't do this anymore, Eric," she wrote. "For 2 years you've been feeding me promises. For 2 years I've been waiting for you to finally make up your mind. Either we start living together, or I'm out. I have my own life too, and I don't want to waste it waiting. Let's meet and talk," my husband replied. "It's not that simple." "No, Eric, talking won't help. I'm tired of talking. Decide for yourself. Call me when you're ready for real changes." The conversation ended there. No more messages? So he didn't call? Wasn't ready for real changes? Or did they switch to another way of communicating? I sat with my head in my hands. I was shaking. July, August, 4 years ago. What was happening in our lives then? I strained my memory. Right, at the end of summer, we went on vacation to Cape Cod. After a long period when Eric was moody, irritable, distant, I attributed it to problems at work. He had a major project fall through. There were issues. That's what he said. And then suddenly, he suggested we go to the beach, just the 2 of us. And there, in Cape Cod, he seemed to come alive again, became his former self, tender, attentive, loving. We had a wonderful 2 weeks, and when we came back home, Eric started talking about having a baby. Before that, he kept putting it off, saying we still had time, that we needed to get more financially stable first. But then he suddenly suggested it himself, so he chose me, finally decided to stay in our family, breaking it off with his mistress. This thought didn't make it any easier. 2 years of cheating, 2 years of lies. Every time he stayed late at work, every time he went on a business trip, I trusted him unconditionally. And all this time, he was meeting another woman. I heard the sound of the door opening. Eric came back earlier than planned. I panicked, turned off the phone, hid it in my pocket, and started hastily putting things back in the boxes. "Ali, where are you?" he called from the hallway. "In the storage closet." My voice sounded strange, as if it wasn't mine. Eric looked in, saw me among the boxes, and laughed. "Decided to sort through our treasures? Found anything interesting?" I didn't know what to say. Tell him right now? Make a scene? Or keep quiet, think it all through, prepare for a serious conversation? "No, nothing special," I replied, trying to make my voice sound normal. "Just decided to tidy up." "Let me help," Eric offered, but I shook my head. "No need, I'm almost done." "How's Mike's renovation going?" "Not great. We didn't get as much done as we wanted." "Hey, I picked up some pizza on the way home. Want some?" And just like that, life pretended nothing had changed, that I hadn't discovered the betrayal, that everything was still the same. We sat in the kitchen, eating pizza. Eric was talking about something related to the renovation, about vacation plans for this year. And I looked at him and didn't recognize him. Was this the same person I married? Was this the Eric I had been so sure of all these years? In the evening, when he fell asleep, I took out the phone and started scrolling through the conversation again, looking for details I might have missed. I wanted to know everything. This woman, who was she? Marina. Just Marina, no last name. I found several photos where she was more clearly visible. Beautiful, about 30. In one of the pictures, she and Eric were at some concert. Judging by the banner in the background, it was a Taylor Swift concert, which took place, exactly when Eric was supposedly on a business trip to New York, 5 years ago. And apparently, he wasn't in New York at all. After a sleepless night, my head was throbbing. In the morning, I looked terrible, pale, with dark circles under my eyes. Eric noticed. "Did you sleep poorly? Did something happen?" "Just insomnia," I lied. All day I tried to act normal, not to reveal the hurricane raging inside. I didn't know what to do. Tell him I know about this story? But the affair ended 4 years ago. Since then, we've lived normally. Happily, it seemed. Is it worth dredging up the past? What if he's still in contact with her? Just on another phone? This thought drove me crazy. I had to know the truth. In the evening, as we were watching a movie, I casually asked, "Eric, do you remember your old Samsung, the one with the cracked screen?" He tensed up, almost imperceptibly, but I've known him for 6 years. I saw something flash in his eyes. "Which one?" I had several Samsungs before the iPhone. "The one with the crack on the screen. You were using it at the beginning of our married life." "Oh, I think I remember. Why?" "Just curious where it went. I was cleaning out the closet and thinking about old things." "Probably threw it away a long time ago. What's the use of it with a broken screen?" He lied. Without batting an eye, The husband I've lived with for 6 years looked me in the eye and lied. "I see," I said, and turned back to the TV so he wouldn't see the tears welling up in my eyes. The next few days I lived in a fog, went to work, prepared dinners, talked to Eric, and it all felt like it wasn't me, but someone else. Fragments of that conversation kept spinning in my head. "You said you'd leave her. For 2 years, you've been feeding me promises." I searched our apartment for traces of that other life of my husband, checked his work bag when he was in the shower, unlocked his phone at night and looked through contacts, messages, call history. Nothing suspicious. No Marina. It had been 6 years. Their relationship seemed to have ended 4 years ago, but that didn't make it any easier. I now remembered our entire married life in a new light. When did their affair begin? Where did they meet? What was he thinking when we had just gotten married and he was already cheating after just 3 months? I couldn't concentrate at work. My editor-in-chief called me out for mistakes in my latest article. I hardly slept, lost 7 pounds in a week. My friend Natalie noticed something was wrong, but I brushed it off, blaming work problems. And then one day I couldn't take it anymore. We were having dinner and Eric was talking about his workday as usual. Something about a new project, a demanding client. And in front of my eyes were those photos from the phone. And I just couldn't bear this lie anymore. "I found your old phone," I said, interrupting his story. The Samsung with the broken screen. He froze with his fork halfway to his mouth and slowly put it back on his plate. "And so what?" I turned it on, charged it, and turned it on. Eric went pale. He understood. "And what do you want to hear?" "The truth," I answered. "Who is Marina?" He was silent for a long time. Then he got up, wiped his mouth with a napkin, and poured himself some water. "It was a long time ago, Allison. What's the point of digging up the past now?" "For me, it's not the past." My voice broke. "I found out about it a week ago. For me, it's happening now. Who is she? Where did you meet? When did it all start?" Eric sighed heavily and sat back down at the table. "She worked in the next door office. We met by chance at the coffee shop downstairs. Just got to talking. Then we started having lunch together occasionally. Then things escalated. 3 months after our wedding, I wasn't asking, I was stating." "Yes," he lowered his eyes. "I'm not proud of it, Allie. I was a young idiot. I got confused. 2 years, Eric. 2 years you were meeting her, sleeping with her, deceiving me. This isn't a youthful mistake. This is a conscious choice. Day after day, month after month. I know, and I'm not making excuses, but it ended a long time ago. 4 years have passed. Why? Why did it end? She was demanding that you leave me, demanding clarity. What happened?" Eric looked somewhere past me. "I realized I love you, that I don't want to destroy our family, that I was making a mistake all this time. And that's why you took me to Cape Cod? After you broke up with her?" He looked at me in surprise. "Yes, exactly. I wanted to start over, make up for my guilt, even though you didn't know about it." "And the baby? You started talking about having a baby when we came back. Was that out of guilt too?" "No, Allison. I really wanted a baby. Our baby. I realized how precious our family is to me, that I don't want to lose it. We talked all night. He told me everything, how their affair started, how it developed, how Marina insisted that he leave me, how he himself didn't know what he wanted, How at some point he realized he was making a mistake, that I was his true love, his family, his future. I was an idiot, Ali, a complete idiot. But I swear, since then I haven't looked at another woman. Not once have I given you reason for jealousy or suspicion. How do I know that's true? You deceived me for 2 years. I didn't notice anything. You're excellent at lying, Eric. I understand that I've earned your distrust. But believe me, I've changed. Those years were a mistake that I'll never repeat. I didn't know whether to believe him or not. I loved him, that's true. Despite the pain and betrayal, I still loved my husband. But could I trust him again? I need time, I said toward morning. I don't know if I can live with this knowledge, if I can trust you again. I understand, he nodded. I'll be here as long as it takes, and if you decide to leave, I'll understand that too. The next day, he went to stay at his mom's place. We decided I needed space to think it all through, to decide what to do next. The first days without him were strange. It was like getting to know myself again, meeting the Allison who suddenly found out that her marriage wasn't at all what she thought it was. I called Natalie and told her everything. She was the only one I could confide in about something like this. Natalie listened carefully and asked just one thing. Do you still love him? Yes, I replied. Despite everything, yes. Then give both of you a chance, she said. People make mistakes, Allison, even terrible ones like this. The important thing is whether his remorse is sincere, whether he's really changed. If so, maybe it's worth trying to save your family. My parents, when I called them, were categorical. Mom said Eric should be kicked out and I should file for divorce. She never particularly liked my husband, and now she had confirmation of her intuition. Dad just grunted and said all men are the same, but the decision was mine, of course. My mother-in-law called every day. At first, I didn't answer. Then I finally picked up. Barbara was crying, begging me to give Eric a chance. He loves you so much, Allison. He made a mistake, a terrible mistake. But don't we all make mistakes? Did you know? I asked directly. Did you know about this woman? She fell silent, and that moment of silence was more eloquent than any words. I suspected, she finally admitted. But I didn't know anything for certain, and then he ended it all by himself. And since then, I can see how happy he is with you, how much he loves you. For 2 weeks, we lived separately. Eric texted me every day. He didn't pressure me, didn't beg me to come back, just said that he loves me, that he would wait for my decision. Sometimes he sent flowers, not huge bouquets, but modest ones, my favorite tulips. And I thought about our life, about the past and future, about how the infidelity happened at the very beginning of our marriage, that for 4 years we had lived, as it seemed to me, absolutely happily. He was there, supporting me, making me laugh, taking care of me. Was it all pretense? Hardly. A person can't pretend for 4 years straight, every day, every minute. I remembered how Eric was there when my grandmother died, how he didn't leave my side while I mourned her, how he supported me when I decided to change jobs and was afraid to start from scratch, how he believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. This was the man I loved, the man I still love. He made a mistake, a terrible, painful one for me. But does that negate everything else? At the end of the 3rd week, I called him and asked him to come over. He rushed over in half an hour, though the drive from his mom's to our place usually takes an hour. Eric stood in the doorway, unsure if he could come in, thinner, haggard, with stubble that he usually carefully shaved off. "Come in," I said. "We need to talk." We sat in the kitchen where our first conversation about the affair had taken place. I struggled to find the right words, but then decided to speak directly. "I don't know if I'll ever be able to fully forgive you, Eric. This pain, this betrayal, they'll always be with me. But I want to try to move forward, together, because despite everything, I still love you." He cried. For the first time in my memory, I saw my husband cry. He sat across from me, covering his face with his hands, and cried like a child. "I don't deserve you, Ollie, but I swear I'll never hurt you again, never give you reason to doubt me." That evening, he came back home. We decided to start over. It wasn't easy. I would wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat. I dreamed that Eric was with that woman, with Marina, that he was laughing at my naivety, that our whole life was one big deception. Eric patiently endured my suspicions and fears. He never got angry when I checked his phone, always told me where he was and who he was with. If he was staying late at work, he'd call to let me know. If he was meeting friends, he'd send photos so I could see he was really where he said he was. I knew it couldn't go on forever like this. That trust can't be built on total control, but I couldn't help it. Not yet. We went to a marriage counselor. Eric suggested it himself, said he was ready to work on our relationship for as long as it took, that he understood. His assurances alone weren't enough. The counselor, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, said at our first meeting, "Rebuilding trust after infidelity is a long journey, but it's possible if both partners are willing to walk that path." We were willing. At least we were trying to be willing. In the spring, about 6 months after I found that phone, I had a late period. The test showed 2 lines. We had been waiting for this for 2 years before the phone incident, and now I was pregnant. Eric was overjoyed. He cried when I showed him the test, hugged me, kissed me, whispered that he loved me more than life itself. And I didn't know whether to be happy or afraid. I still wasn't sure about our future. Still didn't know if I could ever fully forgive him. And now, a baby. A little person who would bind us forever, whether we stayed together or not. The day after we found out about the pregnancy, Eric brought home some papers. "What's this?" I asked. "I've put half of our apartment in your name," he replied. "It's now officially our joint property. And here's a power of attorney for my car and all the accounts. You can access them at any time." Why? I didn't understand. "I want you to feel secure, no matter what happens." It was his way of showing the seriousness of his intentions, his way of apologizing for the past, his way of saying he's with me for the long haul, forever. The pregnancy wasn't going very smoothly. In the first trimester, I suffered from severe morning sickness. I lost weight instead of gaining it. The doctors were concerned. Eric was by my side constantly. He made anti-nausea teas with some recipe from his grandmother, massaged my back when it hurt, got up in the middle of the night to bring me water or help me get to the bathroom. At the beginning of the second trimester, I had some bleeding. I was terrified I was losing the baby. Eric got me to the hospital in record time, breaking probably every traffic rule possible. I was admitted for observation. I spent 2 weeks in the hospital. Eric came every day, brought home-cooked meals, books, just sat with me for hours. As I lay there in the hospital room, watching my husband dozing in the uncomfortable chair next to my bed, I suddenly realized I couldn't be angry with him anymore. Couldn't hold on to the resentment. Not because he didn't deserve my anger. He did, absolutely. But because this anger was destroying me from the inside, preventing me from moving forward, preventing us from building a family. After being discharged from the hospital, I told him this. We were sitting in our kitchen drinking tea, and I said, "I forgive you, Eric. I really do. Not because I've forgotten, I'll never forget. But I no longer want this to define our life, our family, the future of our child." He took my hands in his. He was silent for a long time and then said, "Thank you. I don't deserve such happiness, but I swear I'll do everything so that you never regret your decision." At the ultrasound, they told us it would be a girl. We decided to name her Sophia. Sophia was born on time, completely healthy. A little miracle with her dad's eyes and my stubborn chin. When Eric held her for the first time in the hospital, he broke down crying, not embarrassed by the nurses and other visitors. He stood there, holding the tiny bundle, and cried, saying, "Forgive me, little one. I'll be the best dad in the world, I promise." And he tried. I've never seen a man so devotedly care for a child. Eric got up at night to tend to our daughter, changed diapers, prepared formula when I didn't have enough milk. He worked remotely for the first few months after the birth to be around and help. Life with a small child is always a test for a couple. Sleep deprivation, fatigue, hormonal storms, lack of time for each other. We argued, of course. Sometimes I snapped at him over some trifle, not folding the clothes right or forgetting to buy diapers. He never responded with harshness. He was always the first to make peace. One day, when Sophia was about 8 months old, we were walking in the park. It was a warm autumn day. The leaves were golden on the trees. Sophia was sleeping peacefully in her stroller. We sat on a bench, and Eric suddenly said, "You know, every day I thank fate that you gave me a second chance, that you didn't leave back then." I looked at him, at this man whom I've known for almost 9 years, loved for 8, been married to for nearly 7, who betrayed me and earned forgiveness. Imperfect, who made a mistake, but mine. And I replied, "I'm grateful too, that we were able to get through this, that we didn't lose each other. I thought the story was over, that phone, that woman, that pain, it was all in the past. A page turned, but I was wrong. When Sophia turned 1, we organized a small celebration, invited only the closest people, my parents, Eric's mom, a couple of friends. Among the guests was Natalie with her new boyfriend. They had been dating for just a couple of months, and I was seeing this man for the first time. Tall, with a neat beard, he seemed a bit tense, probably feeling awkward in a company of strangers. Eric came out of the kitchen with the cake, saw Natalie's companion, and froze. His face turned white as paper. His hands trembled so badly that the cake nearly fell. I rushed to him, took the cake, and asked anxiously, "What happened? Are you feeling unwell?" No, everything's fine." He smiled with difficulty. "Just got dizzy. It'll pass." All evening, Eric was strange. He kept his distance from Natalie and her boyfriend, barely talked, was lost in thought. When the guests left, I asked directly, "Do you know Natalie's boyfriend?" "No," he answered too quickly. "What makes you think that?" "You've been acting weird all evening, ever since you saw him." "Just tired. Lots of work lately, and organizing the party was exhausting too." I didn't believe him. Something was off. Eric was too nervous, too evasive. A few days later, I met Natalie at a cafe. Sophia stayed with her grandmother, and I could talk calmly with my friend. I asked about her new boyfriend, how they met, what he does. "His name is Anthony. We met at the gym. He's a trainer there. He's been my personal trainer for 3 months now, and, well, things developed." "Is he married?" Natalie looked at me in surprise. "No, divorced. Why?" "Children?" "No, no children. Allison, what's with these questions?" "I just thought Eric knows him. He acted strangely when he saw him." My friend shrugged. "I have no idea. Anthony didn't say anything like that, and I doubt they've crossed paths. He only moved to Boston 2 years ago, relocated from Chicago. 2 years. Right when that story with Marina ended. I didn't know what to think. Maybe I was just imagining things. Maybe Eric really was just tired. Maybe he really did get dizzy. It happens. But the seed of doubt had already penetrated my soul. I started watching my husband again, started noticing the little things I used to ignore, the way he hides his phone when I enter the room, the way he steps away to answer certain calls, the way he tenses up when I ask where he's been, if he's late from work. The sleepless nights started again. The fear returned. I decided to check. The next time we were at Natalie's place, I closely observed Eric and Anthony. They carefully avoided each other, hardly spoke, averted their eyes if they accidentally made eye contact. It was strange, uncharacteristic of Eric, who usually easily connects with people, especially with men. He's sociable, outgoing, but here, it was like there was a wall between them. I decided to dig deeper. One evening, when Eric was in the shower, I took his phone, unlocked it with a fingerprint. We had no secrets from each other after that incident. At least, that's what I thought. Nothing suspicious in the phone. No strange contacts. No questionable conversations. All clean. I went to Instagram, scrolled through the feed, the following list. Found Anthony's account. Eric follows him. Strange, considering they supposedly don't know each other. I opened the profile. Regular photos, workouts, some competitions, landscapes. Nothing unusual. I scrolled down to older posts, and then my heart skipped a beat. In one of the photos from 3 years ago, Anthony was with a woman, dark-haired, vivid. They were embracing against a backdrop of the sea. I zoomed in on the photo, looked closely at the woman's face, and recognized her. The same Marina from the photos in Eric's old phone. Anthony was her husband or boyfriend, at the very same time when she was seeing Eric. The water in the shower turned off. Eric would be out soon. I quickly put the phone back and pretended to be reading a book. My hands were shaking. I couldn't comprehend it. Did Anthony know about that affair? Was he aware of the infidelity? Or did he find out later? What's actually going on? And why didn't Eric tell me the truth? My husband came out of the bathroom, drying his hair with a towel, smiled as if nothing was wrong. Is Sophia already asleep? Yes, put her down half an hour ago. Great. Want to watch a movie? How could he? How could he pretend everything was normal? I looked at him and didn't recognize him. Again, the same nightmare all over. Only now we had a child. You know Anthony, I said, not asking, stating. Eric froze, then slowly sat on the edge of the bed. What makes you think that? Don't lie to me. Never lie to me again. I saw his Instagram. He was dating Marina, that same Marina, or was married to her. Did you know him then? Or did you find out later? Why did you hide it from me? Eric closed his eyes, his face contorted as if in pain. He was silent for a long time. Then he raised his eyes and looked at me. Yes, I know him. And yes, he was Marina's husband. They divorced 4 years ago. Around the same time when Marina and I ended our relationship. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was afraid that you would start reliving it all again, that all the pain would return, that you wouldn't be able to what? Be friends with the boyfriend of the woman you cheated on me with? Yes, that would be a bit difficult. My voice was dripping with venom. I was hurting again. Again, I felt like I had been betrayed, deceived. Important information had been withheld. Does Anthony know who you are? That we're married? I think so. Eric lowered his head. He saw me with Marina back then, knew about us. And you thought he wouldn't tell Natalie? Wouldn't tell her that he slept with the husband of her best friend. I don't know. I don't know. I panicked when I saw him at Sophia's birthday. I stood up and started pacing around the room. My thoughts were jumbled. It felt like the world was falling apart again. You should have told me, should have warned me, instead of pretending everything was fine. I know, I'm sorry, I just got scared. What were you scared of, Eric? That I'll find out something else about your escapades? Something I still don't know? He shook his head. No, I swear. You know everything. Everything that happened. I didn't hide anything when I told you. Really. Except for the fact that her husband is now dating my best friend. A minor detail, right? I didn't know they were dating until I saw him at our house. I swear, I had no idea. I sat down in the armchair. Tears were choking me. Everything was turned upside down again. I have to tell Natalie, I said. Tell her what exactly? Everything. That you cheated on me with the wife of her boyfriend? That you both know each other? That you're both lying? And him? Is he lying too? I don't know. Maybe Natalie knows. Maybe not. But I have to tell her. Eric was silent. Then he said quietly, You're right. We need to tell her everything. Do you want me to talk to her myself? Explain everything? No, I shook my head. I should do it. She's my friend. I didn't sleep all night. Eric lay beside me, also sleepless. We were silent. In the morning, I called Natalie and asked to meet. Just the two of us, without Anthony. We met at the same cafe where we had discussed Eric's strange behavior a few days ago. I looked at my friend and didn't know where to start. What happened, Allison? You look like someone died. Nat, I need to tell you something. It's going to be unpleasant. I told her everything from the beginning about finding the old phone, about Eric's affair, about how the woman Marina had a husband, and that husband was her current boyfriend, Anthony. Natalie listened in silence, didn't interrupt, didn't ask questions. When I finished, she stared into her cup for a long time, then raised her eyes. I know, she said quietly. Anthony told me when he found out I was friends with you. Before you two met, I was stunned. You know, And you didn't tell me anything. What was I supposed to say? Hey, Ali, by the way, my new boyfriend is the ex-husband of your husband's mistress? How do you imagine that conversation? But why did you even start dating him, knowing all this history? Natalie sighed. I didn't know at first. We were just training at the gym. Then we started talking. Then he asked me out. And only when things got serious, when I told him about my friends, about you, that's when he told me everything. And you decided to continue the relationship? Anthony isn't Eric. He was a victim in that story, just like you. He was betrayed. His wife cheated on him. Why should I blame him? I had no answer. She was right. Anthony really was the injured party, just like me. When did he find out who my husband is? When he saw him at Sophia's birthday? No, earlier. I showed him pictures. He recognized Eric, said it was a strange coincidence, but that he has nothing against it, that the past is in the past. I was silent, trying to process the information. Ali, listen, all these people are adults. Everyone made their choices. Eric chose you. Marina left both Anthony and Eric. As far as I know, she's living in another city now. Anthony chose me. Maybe it's time to stop digging in the past? Maybe just move on? I looked at my friend and realized she was right. The past is the past. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone deserves a second chance. I need to think, I said. This is all too strange. Of course, Natalie squeezed my hand. Take as much time as you need. I understand. When I returned home, Eric was waiting for me with the look of a man about to be executed. How did it go? He asked cautiously. She knew. I dropped my bag on a chair. Anthony told her everything, even before you two met. What? And she took it normally? Apparently, yes. They're still together. And judging by everything, she doesn't intend to end the relationship just because her boyfriend was married to my husband's mistress. I laughed. It sounded like a soap opera. Ridiculous, stupid, convoluted. What are we going to do? Eric asked after a pause. I walked up to him, looked into his eyes, those same eyes that had always looked at me with love, sometimes with guilt, sometimes with fear, but most often with love. Move on, I said. Just move on. We invited Natalie and Anthony for dinner a week later. It was awkward at first, tense. Eric and I tried not to look at them, they at us. But gradually the ice melted. We drank wine, got to talking. Anthony turned out to be a perfectly normal guy, calm, reasonable. At one point, when Natalie and Eric went to the kitchen for dessert, Anthony and I were left alone. He was silent for a long time, and then said, "You know, I hated your husband for a long time, considered him a home wrecker. Then I realized that my marriage to Marina didn't fall apart because of him. It was doomed long before he appeared." I nodded. I had nothing to say. "I don't want the past to stand between us," he continued. "Between me and Eric, between you and Natalie. We all deserve happiness, don't we?" I looked at this man who had also gone through betrayal, through pain, through doubt, and found the strength to start over with someone else, with my best friend. And I knew he was right. We all deserve happiness. "Yes," I replied. "Everyone deserves it." Eric and Natalie returned from the kitchen, carrying cake and coffee cups. I looked at my husband, at the man I had lived with for almost 7 years, who had betrayed me but earned forgiveness, who gave me a daughter, who proved his love every day. Yes, What was in that old phone turned everything upside down, changed our lives, put our marriage at risk. But maybe truth doesn't always destroy. Sometimes it builds new, stronger relationships based on honesty, on acceptance, on a real understanding of each other. Every day I wake up thinking, if I hadn't found that phone, I would have lived in peace, but in ignorance, in illusion, in false happiness. And now, our happiness is real. Because it's been earned through pain, because it's honest. I look at my husband, at our daughter, at our home, and I know it was all worth it. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt, it all led us here, to the place where we are now, to the place called happiness.